All right, so in this video, we're going to go over what we are doing for this particular classwork. So the goal of this is to identify how we end up with these things called ions, where an element has an overall positive or a negative charge and what that means. And to do that, we're going to try to identify a couple of patterns. So in the next section of this Google form, it's going to look like this. I'm going to start this out with you. So a couple of things I want you to notice that below this section, right, it says to use this table to answer questions 1 through 3 below. So you're going to look at patterns in this table to help you identify the answer or the possible answers for the next 3 questions. Don't worry if you get things right or wrong. I just want to know what you think and what you notice. All right, so let's start with this first one. So a couple of things that I want you to notice here is that on the left column, the first column, I have the regular elements. So what these atoms normally look like. On the other side, it's the same elements, but just in its ion form. So remember that in its ion form, these elements either have a positive or a negative charge, right? So I want you to compare the two looking left to right. And the main thing that you're going to look at is the valence electrons. So you don't need to worry too much about what's in here. I just want you to focus on the last 2 rings, right? So the last or outermost ring is what we call the valence electrons. So notice there are 2 colors. So black are my actual valence electrons, right? So they're the electrons in the outermost ring. The white circle is just empty space, so there's nothing there, right? So you might notice in this first one, for the regular elements, there is 1 valence electron, and then when it becomes an ion, that valence electron that used to be here disappears, so it goes away. And I also noticed that underneath here, there's now 8 valence electrons. So this outer ring, it's all just empty space. So it all just kind of goes away. And then I'm left with 8 valence electrons in the outermost ring. If I look at the second one, just paying attention to the valence electrons, how many valence electrons do I have here? Well, I have 1, 2 valence electrons. And if I look at the ion version, I notice that those 2 electrons disappear. And so it's all empty space on the outside. And underneath that, I'm left with 8 valence electrons again. So you might start noticing a pattern for this section, right? And as you identify those patterns, right, go ahead and answer these questions below. Questions 1, 2, and 3.